Hi, my name is Jennifer Hosein. I'd like to thank the Art Bar for inviting me to share my poetry with you today. Most of the poems you will hear are from my book, A Map of Rain Days, published by Guernica Editions in 2020. A few new poems are included in the video. The paintings and poems in this video are intrinsically connected. Thank you for listening. Silenced. I am silenced by ugly deeds, dense hands that stretch like sinew across a face, by tongues, their loudness and chatter, by nights I hold between my breaths, my tongue tied into paper cuts, skin woven into night, hands into parchment. Country. On a Friday night in the pandemic, you spin me around to Wichita lineman, and I think, country? Well, I have often sheltered in the houses of pale men, wrapped my skin in their broad or skinny arms, tucked my coffee into the crux of their cool, white haven. I've dimmed the lights and the night is a blank slate, but you don't know my country, that hangs from a thread behind a door, behind the smell my mother kneaded into the evenings, that shifted on my skin like damnation. My aunt played country on the stereo, our silhouettes cavorting in the afternoons, when her own lineman beau came around, tobacco teasing the day. Mon pays. My country is an ice storm, trees bent to the devil, and smelly, damp boots. On the bus, our noses are the same matching red, toques pulled low over a foggy, crisp breath, holes in our glove thumbs, yet he scowls and says, "Go home, go back to your country, where you came from." So I tell him, yes, I'll go back, to the foot of Mount Royal, to the unconditional arms of my mother wrapped around me and my smelly boots. I tell him, my mother's black coat against the winter white paysage is always and only home, and he should be so lucky. Exile, Canadian Shield. In the city, I cannot stop. In the Canadian Shield, there is stillness, windows and sky. Auntie cannot bear to live in this faraway place, while Uncle is thinning out of the living world. They hide in the basement as if they are hidden in rock and snow. Auntie moved into my bedroom when I was 2. She slipped the fear out of the night when she entered the room. On her wedding day, I danced in the front yard, drunk on cheap something, stomping snow, marveling at the moon and the whoosh in my head. I see their footprints getting smaller in the snow, but it is summer, and the rain has birthed a fog of mosquitoes. 6 a.m. in a pandemic. The clock thrumming 6 a.m., windows masked with the night's thick frost waning. Men sleep buried in the garage between slick, shiny cars and their own frigid feces in the cold, blackened pandemic. Silence wraps the lake, and I throw limbs across a decade into the apartment on Treewood Street, amid crumpled newspaper nests, curdling dishes, boots spread all over like berry jam. Where she settles on green velvet before her last slumbers, in bleached rooms where she speaks in wisps that don't convert to any mother tongue but my own mother's tongue, thick with the nights we breathed into her fading breaths. Heart. My mother's heart begins to drift away, but we are selfish and tell her to let them fix it, and we pace and pace the days. Don't tell her it's a porcine aortic valves open and close that keeps her herself until she is not herself. Voice crooked, face fallen, buttons askew, and pants half on the floor. I cannot begin. Beloved mother is a clipped-winged bird that floats around in lace-edged nightgowns, soft, soft skin like a schoolgirl's, shooing away the cats and always packing her clothes to go home. A map of rain days. I am bent by the way that these things go, put my face in my hands and pull the skin taut across miles and miles. Walk down the corridors in my mother's bruised shoes. My mother's toes are crooked and curled in a misguided, arthritic map of rain days. Winter. I am Demeter, in winter black as Hades, turning fields to stone, forests to dust, in my wrath and despair that my beloved is gone. I pick rocks from the side of the road to eat in the absence of corn. They thunder along my intestines, dulling the noise in my head. I scream inside the walls of February, wait for my beloved, who is light, breath, sun, spring. Make love to boys I have turned to bones in this drought I have brought. I am Persephone, bound beneath the light, longing for the tick of my mother's heart, the pad of her yellowed feet on the floor. But my winter will linger for years, and my mother will tread across the skies, her feet into mountains, her face yellow as the sun, peering down at the shadow I have become. Demeter is my mother, Persephone my daughter. I am neither, I am all, I am only winter. Breath. Our breath sits heavy on the dashboard. Mother floats around the car with the snow. Our boots crunch and slide across new graves, and Uncle says, "She is here. No, she is here," blowing his vodka breath into the sky. Conductor. Take my hand tonight on the snow-white tracks of my dreams. Be my night conductor and steer me from the monsters that throw me up against the walls of this boxcar life. Wedding day, for Natasha. You are the princess beneath my pillow. I am the pea that sways in the corners of your night. You are my map of the city. Every place is only meaningful in the way that you were there with me. This is the airport that you are leaving me from. This is the road that takes me away from you. When you leave, you take the light away. I wait for your whisper. Hold tight to the pillow that you laid your head upon, as if it were love itself. I pull stitches out of your discarded dresses, unraveling the years between us. Then I begin to sew your wedding dress. Tree lights string me across the desert, my feet parched with longing. Across the universe in a sun-bleached room, I lay the snow-white dress on the bed. Today is your wedding day. You tug at the hem of your dress, dip your white heels into the grass in the Hollywood afternoon. You are breathtakingly happy. In the morning, I have to return to my life without you. I press my tears to the door of your hotel room to feel your breath. When I look for you in mirrors, you shine behind my eyes. Sometimes you whisper to me to wrap you tight in the star-punched night. Window. She rolled through sky like butter, night effervescent with the glow that spit out of her, embers turning into stars in the sky that could not love her the way she or anybody needed. But you loved her, gave her walls to keep her safe, food to buy her time. But the walls bent, as if your sins had chewed furiously at them, multi-legged termite ghosts through days and days. And what did she see when she stepped into sky and dreams and dusk that sounded like city squalor, banging prayers in her head? And how can you sleep in your bed by the window that I, in another spring, leaned out of to watch the schoolboys below. Rain on the island. Rain on the island erases the fences we put up on the landscapes we have become. Tributaries of loss and shadows of longing are mapped on our torsos until we are crisscrossed and unrecognizable. Against the impending storm, farmers have wrapped their bales in a funereal white that shimmers like water on the lake. Espanola. Long trucks are full of skeletons at dusk, and the sun is a vermilion afterthought. The sky bent into grids of power lines, while lonesome birds line up at the gate to heaven, just 49 kilometers from Espanola. Ink. In the mornings, my fingers were stained the color of the ink that I used to write you into my dreams. Sometimes you were black ink handprints along the walls. All the colors that I used to paint you were propped up around my life, blocking the real and putting into its place a semblance of you. By the spring, I had so many canvases that you began to appear as a man, breathing and soft-mouthed, reclining on my bed. I could not tell real from writing, skin from paint. Fall. The leaves have fallen from their hosts the way I fell from you. Once you were air, then you were cinders that I spat up, now and then. Spark. How I loved you as I flew across the metropolis to fall at your door, turn the key, creep into your bed. I rubbed the sleep from your eyes, you turned me to the wall. That's how we loved through the winter and spring, before you lost your home. So I took you in, and you took me over the way a spark consumes a forest. Turned me to ash that stuck to the soles of your feet during your tirades and blackouts. Splattered your fabulous dinners across the kitchen walls. Banged on the bedroom door while your son pleaded, "Daddy, please." Leap day. Leap day is snow blowing across your eyelids when you finally kiss sleep like a dead man at 8 in the morning. The telephone begins ringing at 10, but you hear only the snow falling. The wind blows a storm through your eyes, the sky sits behind the clouds, and a storm blows through again. For a few hours I can live in the solace of your sadness, because you can see who I am in the moments you are still. But I am always anticipating the moment you throw your limbs around the room, scattering your shattered soul, throwing your ugliest voice at me. When your words knock me to the floor, I pick up the pieces and walk away. You watch the hours drop like days through the night, walk in circles until nothing, just snow and the dream of beer. So up again to pull a bottle from under the sink, like a magician pulling a rabbit from a hat. Beer is your bread, your fish, your salvation. Romance. I tell you I am not a romantic. You say I like to speak of the stars. The stars fell. The romance has been chewed out of me, kisses carved away, so many things in and out of me, I cannot tell my skin from the floor or the chill night air. Voice. I attempt to trace your tangled voice in the black air with the sandpaper lips of my fingers, but my fingertips are just garbled whispers. Crow's feet. Inked on my face are shadows that you left behind, imprints of your lover's hands slapped across my face, tugging at my crow's feet in the morning. Wrapped. The promise of youth, flush with excitement, live on the edge of suicide. You have no vision of the carcass of youth that lies ahead, the swill and gore of it, but you lock your bedroom door and sit wrapped on your bed, holding grief in your palms. 1977. 1. Blend into trees and sky in brown skin. Stay tight to tree bark. Hold your breath between the crisp steps of teenagers slipping past in a cloud. Shed the cloak of trees. Veer towards home where your thick socks shuffle on the parquet floor. 2. School is black terror, so you walk into books like Alice, blue jeans and tight skin, hallucinogens and hatred spun in webs through the hallowed halls. 3. You walk a thin gauntlet, alone. Streets. The main streets of the suburbs when I was 15 were as ugly as sin to me, and I was as ugly as the mythical monster, the brown-hued devil that lived beneath the bridge. Sticks and stones broke all of me, as the townspeople called to arms, spit and rocks and fists. They fanned away from the dark shadow that spilled out of me like blood. So I ate only apples, and turned to bones, and my hair gleamed, and my eyes were hollow. As I crawled through the halls of the high school, hid in the bathroom stall, slid home quick through the afternoon, died in the night. Widow. I did not want a husband. I wanted a tree, a forest, a black-winged crow, black night and blue earth, a bed of rocks. I wanted an ancient man-boy, salt-eyed and ragged. I wanted fingertips for eyes. But now I am old, a faithless widow, soft boys filling the spaces that rain cannot. After the fire at the asylum, only the burnt-out shell was left. The windows were barred, and from between the cold iron bars came wailing and weeping, centuries old. The broken feet of women dragged across the wooden beams. The men's shaved heads were cool and dry. History. Look at me on his bed. History will not untie me. His story, always his story, someone's his story. His cock dances around me, his cock like a beacon, a game of sticks. I tire of the ins and outs of me, my beauty laid flat on the bed for his story to unwind the night, the morning, the clothes from my back. I am just undressed. No lace, no red, no perfume, just my skin is me. Break. Measure us in food and skin, blood on the onions, bruises on our limbs. I watch you with eyes planted on the ceiling, in a corner, beneath the bed. You have bayonets for hands that bend and break the night. I love you. I love you, he said. You are my heart. I'll cut your tongue out so you can't speak like that anymore. I'll cut your feet off and I'll carry you around when I want. I'll cut your hands off so you can't touch another man's face the way you touch mine. Will you cut my cunt out, she asked, so I can't fuck another man or even myself? I'll cut it out. I'll keep it in a locked drawer. I'll take it out when I need to and place it in the space between your legs. Or maybe, if I'm angry, I'll take it into another room, put it around my cock, and thrash around some. I'll cut your breasts off so no man can look at them. Then you can wear what you like. What will you leave me? She asked. I'll leave you my right hand to hold when you're alone, and I'll leave you my heart. King of the night. Like you, he chose me from afar. I had only seen a blurred face, a speeding car, but I knew his eyes that followed me. Silver slits opening the sky. Red is the color of the night when he comes, when I twist and run. And when I see his silver slit eyes breaking through the alleyways, I tear away. And when I'm safe behind locked doors, I turn around to find him. In his hands, He holds all of me. Travels. The sky gives off the sweet odor of chocolate. I am bathed in a downpour of Nestle chocolate and still thinking of you. I cannot erase the years or your voice from my answering machine. You surround me. From the window of the Don Mills 25 bus, the valley opens up like a womb in the rain. I carry you around in the hollow of my chest. Beneath my ribs, you dig tunnels, hundreds of tunnels, and you won't leave. For every step forward, I take 2 steps back, always towards you. No one knows why I stay, why you're back. You make a mask for your face with your brittle anger. If I walked off this bus onto the frozen field, the field would become a lake, its crisp, translucent surface cracking and drawing me in. The bleak caress of snow. Your cool hands in a circle around my neck. The apartment is as cold as frozen fields. My limbs sculpt snow angels in the sheets. You bring ice into the room. Poison drunk. Pools of blood scar the smooth surface of the floor. I weave spaces through the walls with my ugly wrists. Watch the shadows darken. Listen for the jingle-jangle of keys at the door. Train my eyes to catch the movement of poison-drunk cockroaches on the walls. Not the flicker of light from headlights, not my own shadow bending in slow motion. Words separate me from you. You say, believe me, it won't hurt. I never believe you. I sit up, awaiting betrayal. Safe house. Everyone needs a safe house. There are fleeting thoughts, fists and fingernails, black and blue. My daughter's toes slipping out from beneath the Mexican blanket, her small hand curled in mine, sleeping angel's face and just washed spun silk hair. These are the things that stay with me. How many times did she wait in the next room, suspended in the thin comfort of her tiny dolls? All the things I took her through. My mother used to say to me, I'll give you something to cry about. Sometimes I peer into the windows of the places we lived in then, wondering at the lives that are lived there now. When I was a child, stairs led from our narrow dining room to a cavernous cellar. It was black and damp. My father killed a rat there. He buried it in the backyard, beneath my bedroom window. Every night I waited for my aunt to come to bed, to turn her face to the wall on the other side of my bedroom. Only then was I safe. I have never liked to sleep alone. I have often made the mistake of settling on someone to help pass the nights. My mother said I carried too much anger with me. That was the reason I failed with men. She did not ask why I was angry, or if the men were angry. But it's okay for men, isn't it? No one wants to hear. They wonder why I stayed. I didn't. I left, and he followed, pounded on my door, turned up at my job, followed me on the street until I tired of being afraid of the shadows and let him back in, the devil you know. They thought I was weak, but I was not. Tonight, someone is banging on a wall, blows that run through concrete and steel all the way up to the 20th floor, where I am taught, poised to run. My bones drift towards breaking, but there are no bruises to hide beneath shirt sleeves, no fictions to tell about bathtubs and door jambs. This time, there's a safe house and a good man. Thank you for listening.